Suspected cases of illegal accommodation in private properties are up, according to latest figures from the Urban Redevelopment Authority. URA investigated 544 suspected cases of properties being illegally used to house more people than allowed, and 219 cases of illegal short-term rental last year. Both figures are slightly higher than the year before. Alexandra Anand looks at what these arrangements can look like and why they can be difficult to detect.
You may not be able to tell from the outside, but there used to live nearly 40 people in the second and third floors of this building behind me. That was until a surprise inspection in 2024 uncovered the illegal accommodation. People working in the area told me they had long suspected that something wasn't quite right.
Yeah, I see frequently people go up and down, but mostly they go early in the morning and they come up in the night. They're working somewhere, like they are studying somewhere.
And there were other clues. Court documents show bed frames and washing machines were brought in through this rear entrance in an attempt to avoid detection. When officers inspected the premises, they found 10 rooms, 36 bed spaces, and 37 people living across the 2 floors. The accused was fined $90,000 for converting the Serangoon Road shophouse unit into what URA classifies as unauthorized dormitory accommodation. Such cases rose from 534 in 2024 to 544 last year, with 278 in the first 5 months of this year alone. Suspected short-term accommodation cases also increased from 200 to 219. From January to May, there were 58. And some offers are hiding in plain sight. CNA found listings for residential stays for as little as 1 month. One property and facilities management firm says illegal offers are becoming harder to spot.
In the past, we always look at those traditional so-called accommodation platform, and in the past even we task our staff to log in from time to time to see is there any posting regarding the estate. But nowadays if you log in, you suddenly see that the vendors, I would say, doing this, even going for social media posting, and some even post in social media they are not commonly used in Singapore.
E-commerce platform Carousel says it investigates listings when it receives a report or identifies a possible unlawful transaction. It takes action where necessary, including removing listings. The challenge doesn't end online. Once inside, occupants can enter with access cards just like any other resident, and surveillance cameras alone may not be enough to identify them.
You start to see people coming in, unfamiliar faces, coming with luggage. A few group of people going to the same unit over a period of time, or even some will appear to be a bit confused when they're in the estate. They don't know where to go, they ask for directions. So I would say all these are telltale signs, and the first trigger for us to so-called verify further on that.
That's why Mr. Ng says residents remain key to spotting unusual activity close to home. While such arrangements may be difficult to prevent, spotting them early can help put a stop to them.
Booking a home for a few nights while on holiday has become commonplace in many cities as another option to hotels. But try doing that in Singapore and you could be breaking the law. So why doesn't Singapore allow short-term rentals? And how does its approach compare with other cities? So what counts as a short-term rental here? For private homes, including condos, landed properties and apartments, the minimum stay is 3 consecutive months. So renting one out to visitors for just a few days or weeks is not allowed. For HDB flats, the rules are stricter still. The minimum subletting period is 6 months. Now, authorities say residential properties are meant for long-term living. A constant turnover of short-term visitors could disrupt that, affecting residents' safety, privacy and security, and changing the character of neighbourhoods.
It may create what we call the unintended kind of consequences where you actually allow some of these very short-term rental. I think there will be some possible speculative kind of activity. People actually push up some of the prices in some of these popular locations and start to actually convert them into short-term tenancy or short-term renting.
The rules have not gone unquestioned. In 2018, authorities explored whether short-term stays in private homes could be allowed under a new regulatory framework. Among the ideas considered were requiring approval from 80% of owners in a condominium and capping short-term rentals at 90 days a year. But the proposed framework was ultimately not introduced. And Singapore isn't alone in restricting short-term rentals. In Hong Kong, anyone offering accommodation for less than 28 consecutive days generally needs a hotel or guest house license. Properties rented only for stays of at least 28 continuous days are exempt from that licensing regime. Japan, meanwhile, allows private lodging, but generally caps it at 180 nights a year. And further afield, Barcelona has gone further, saying it will not renew the licenses of more than 10,000 tourist apartments when they expire in 2028.
Is there a need for this in between, the stopgap measure? Maybe if the demand increase, if we do not have enough supply into a hotel and service apartment unit, maybe this is maybe another options for developer to explore. Longer term, no frill kind of service options for visitor, even the budget visitor as well. So at this moment, the market has not yet fully developed.